Hello, cadets. Welcome to another episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room. I am General Lemuel T. Howitzer, retired, and we are on, I believe it's show 151, which is kind of a milestone. We made it past 150 episodes. We have a brand new guest on this show. He's very knowledgeable about this particular training film we're going to talk about, and we'll bring him up in just a second. But first, let me bring up my able-bodied assistants, Major Millie Hazard and Master Sergeant Havoc.
It's a pleasure to serve, even in the hurricane. We hope that the swamp ape down there doesn't get riled up. We know the swamp ape does not like the hurricanes at all.
Nope.
Well, the reason you're mentioning the hurricane is because our guest is right in the middle of it, or it's passing right by his place right now. I am fairly close, but we're having relatively small winds. It's not so bad. I'm in Central Florida, so it's not so bad here. But in Tampa, we have Mr. Kerry Harrison, and there he is. So at any time, the lights might go out.
And the electricity may go out as opposed to my lights.
Again, hopefully a tree doesn't come crashing through the window.
Either way, not good.
So we admire your bravery for being here for your first time on the show here. I am Lemuel T. Howitzer. The other guy you're looking at looks like he's from Duck Dynasty. That's Master Sergeant Havoc. He's kind of a survivalist.
Yep.
And of course you've met
hunkered down in my bunker.
Yeah. So we're all kind of hunkered down right now, and we are going to talk about the day the Earth stood still. And you have seen this training film many times. Am I correct, Mr. Harrison?
Oh, yeah. This is in my top 5 of the greatest films ever made for reasons we're obviously going to discuss.
All right. Well, very good. This is in color, which may surprise you a little bit. I did send you the timeline a little early so you could get used to it. And again, we start out with a flying saucer, a UFO, traveling around Earth, and everybody's alerted to the presence of this UFO. And everybody's chattering about it. And that seems to be heading for, past Calcutta. And past the UK. And it finally starts to head towards Washington, D.C. And there's the BBC. And a girl smoking in the back of a cab in England. The radio guys are on the radio. Remember, there wasn't huge television back at this time. This was 1951. So radio was still the big thing. And there it is going past the Capitol. And
these are great.
Yeah.
These are great.
Oh, you didn't watch you didn't look at the timeline. Again, I was hoping to send it to you. I sent it to you like a week or so ago.
Well, no, I did, but I saw them on an iPhone. This is like cool. Seeing them this way.
All right.
Okay. Can we go back a couple of slides?
Sure.
This poor guy is so frightened.
He's turned gray.
Stone.
Yeah, the colorization program does that sometimes.
Let's bring people up to speed on what's happening. So here you are. This is New York, or this is Washington, D.C., about 1949. And so no one has ever seen a flying saucer, much as here we've really never seen a flying saucer. But you can imagine this is 4 years after the end of World War II with propeller planes. And there's a flying saucer flying in, landing in Washington, D.C. People see this, talk about freak out, because you don't know. Is it the Germans? I mean, you just don't know. So we have no indication what this thing is, but it's loud and it's glowing and it's coming into the nation's capital. And these are the people that are seeing it.
So, yeah, and it just sets down in a little baseball park there. So they call in the tanks and the military and even the police. The switchboards are aglow. Everybody's calling everybody. And I guess this is their version of Walter Winchell.
And this was a real guy. This was a real newscaster back then.
Radio guy.
Yeah. And of course, you had to wear a hat on radio because, well, you have to have credibility.
Yeah. A face for radio. He had a hat for radio. So this thing touched down, and the military has already surrounded it. You know, we don't trust anything. We are such a barbaric world. We are. Look at this. Guns already trained on it. So, and again, before the movie Aliens and Predator, you know, way before then, you know, even back then we had the bloodlust. You know, I don't trust these guys.
Yeah.
So the man in the hat says, "Oh, something's happening. It's opening up." And you know, the guys are happy there with their guns, and the families are happy there. Look at the little girl with her camera ready. And this is a very important shot right here coming up. Because remember, this is 1951, age of segregation. And yet, Robert Wise thoughtfully put that into the movie, that shot.
Robert Wise, comma, a gay man, comma, who also gave us all the winning World War II movies in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the ship opens up.
And West Side Story.
Yes. And The Sound of Music.
And well, there it is. He came out by then.
And Star Trek. So luckily there wasn't a 20-minute shot circling this ship. I digress. But
oh, okay. Now I got to bust you on that because that's not fair. Star Trek: The Motion Picture, 20 minutes of just endless flying through V'ger and the rest of it. The music, Jerry Goldsmith, fantastic. What a good use. But 20 minutes. Okay, I get it.
Okay, yeah, there's the engine. All right, okay, okay. There's the restrooms. All right, got it. All right, okay. There's the captain's shower. Oh, yeah, that was just way too long. That was a movie that probably could have been an hour and 45 minutes and didn't need an intermission. So
we'd all been waiting, 12 years for a Star Trek movie. So we had to see Captain Kirk's toupee. His curly hair, from his straight hair to suddenly, poof, he's got curly hair. How did that happen? Shut up.
How did you get TJ Hooker hair? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So out, you would expect a little better space outfit, but there you go. The helmet's a little kind of weird, but there it is. Guy comes out of the ship. He's humanoid. He has his hand up in the universal sign of peace, among the galaxies, and he reaches into his coat to pull something out. And of course, when you're in DC, you got to be careful when you make that move. So, they blast him. Without a question. Without a freeze, scumbag! And, they take him down.
Yep. Shoot first. Don't ask questions.
And whatever it was that he had, whether it be a weapon or what have you, it broke. And as it turns out, ironically, it was supposed to be a cure for all disease. So we blew that one. And then we get the wonderful head take where everybody looks up at the same time and sees Gort.
Ooh.
Now, this program makes Gort gold. He's a gold robot. The ship looks kind of gold too. And he comes out now. Wonderful music by Bernard Herrmann. And it's just very simple. Visor goes up, lights up. He starts zapping weapons. And they know they screwed up. That's the look of, maybe we should have talked to him first before we shot him. And in 1951, can you imagine kids watching this movie for the first time? Freaking out. Never seen anything like this.
And still today, if something, a 6'5" fully metal robot came with a visor slit up and it was just black in there with a light moving back and forth, fired a laser, melting tanks, we would freak. Drones can't even do this yet. So remember, this is also the beginning of the Cold War. So we are now in a
Right.
full nuclear rush against the Russians to build nuclear weapons. No longer atomic bombs, but we're now into hydrogen bombs. And
Mhm.
this is an anti-war movie, not to get that far yet, but that's sort of why the military is on hard alert. Why
Got it. Yes, most definitely. So yeah, he zaps their guns. They disappear. He zaps a tank. These guys have just enough time to get out of it before it disappears. Or actually, it kind of smolders down into a bunch of goo.
Yeah, just
They got that anti-aircraft gun laid out there pretty quickly, but it's gone. So he's like, Gort, hey, settle down. I'm okay. Those weren't his exact words, but I paraphrase a little bit. But and he gets up and explains, "Hey guys, you blew it. This was a present from us to you." And later he's going to basically tell them, you just proved everything that I've been telling my bosses to, Anyway, in the hospital, a government dignitary shows up. He talks to Klaatu, who's the alien. And Klaatu says, basically, I want to talk to all your world leaders. And he's like, he becomes Woody Allen all of a sudden.
yeah.
It's going to be a tall Woody. He's like, well, yeah, that's well and all. That's all well and good. But do you realize how hard it is to get these guys together in a room?
Yeah. Klaatu doesn't care. It's like, nope,
just
nope.
shoe on the table all the time. Yeah, come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's actually 11 years from now. So, they're staked out outside. Gort does not move. The ship does not move. It closes up and it doesn't move. So they're just kind of staked out there by the ship. And again, the guy tells Klaatu, "Hey, I'll try, but I'm not thinking I'm going to be able to get all these guys together. There's no, in my mind, there's no way they're going to agree to that." So they're looking at his charts, the doctors, and the guy comes back with bad news. Yeah, didn't work. Sorry, I can't do that. But he also gives them another idea, which is there are brilliant scientists, and we might be able to get them together. The most intelligent minds on the planet. And there's a message there. From the people that wrote this, the people that directed this, the world leaders, they're not the smartest guys on the planet. So he escapes. He figures, hey, I'm gonna try to do that myself. And get those guys together. So he has a suit and a case. And the suit has been dry cleaned. So he gets a name, Carpenter, off the suit. He decides, I'm going to be Mr. Carpenter. And again, very stylish luggage for an illegal alien from another planet. Okay, so I said TV was not the most important thing now, but it is new, and they're watching the TV. Mm-hmm. And I love this shot. He's talking about the aliens at large. He's, he could be dangerous. Again, not very untrusting. And all of these people in this boarding house turn around and see this guy in the front door.
Yep, just in shadows, like, oh.
Very ominous entrance. Did we lose Mr. Harrison?
I think so. Wait, there he is.
There he is. So your take on this this entrance, this intro to the good people in the film, the good, wholesome people of America.
Well, one, you just did a beautiful job. Two, my electricity went out, so I've switched over to the mobile app here, which takes all the fantasy of my background away and just shows the raw truth.
But we can hear you.
You cannot
hear. Can see you. No, we can hear you. We can see you. So that's good.
I think you did a masterful job on getting those black and white screen grabs and colorizing them. It really tells a different story completely.
Well, thank you.
The power of this movie is I think part of it is the terror of Gort, the robot, and the
Right.
robot was sent in order to send a warning, and that they were able to stop time, stop trains, stop watches, stop all cars. Every engine died, every machine died. The entire Earth stopped. Literally everything mechanical, even
Right.
clocks stopped. Why?
It's coming up.
Power of what these international police were there to do, which was to stop savages, knuckle walkers, you and me, from blowing each other up with nuclear weapons. And just remember, a half a decade earlier, two of them, Nagasaki and Hiroshima, had dropped, killing
Right.
200,000 people in under 10 seconds, and that the Russians were building them at the speed of light, as were Americans, absolutely intent on using them.
Right.
So there was no even conversation about not using them or slowing them down. It was we were going to get enough so we could get rid of the other guy. And this is how regular people were living it today. And Robert Wise realized that there needs
It's how we're still living. It's barbaric.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I was just watching stuff this morning. Putin is threatening nuclear, just to get his way. We can't get away from it. So
Nope.
the lights come up on him, and he's a regular looking guy, So he says, "Hey, I'm looking for a room." And of course, the kid goes up to him right away. The kids are trusting. And the nice lady who runs the house tells him, she's got a nice little room she can put him in, and
She wanted him. You can see her thighs quivering in that film. She can have Mike for a night with no witnesses back in an era where no one's going to look. But remember back then, she told him no visitors past 10 p.m. That's code for no women except me. And then she pulled off her shoes, peeled down the support bra, and he began working on her areola. That was the different movie that
Yes.
you never.
That's it's a whole different movie.
I don't remember that scene. That must be in the deleted scenes on the DVD.
Bonus
So-
features.
At the breakfast table, they're all talking about, who's going to be the next president, and that's the look you get from across the table when you. No, I'm kidding. The guy on the far left is actually a character actor named Ulan Sul, and you might not recognize him right away, but he was. Ironically, a news reporter on the TV show Batman in the 60s. And later, he was the voice of Batman in the 1970s in the Super Friends and the Scooby-Doo movies, where they, joined Batman and Robin. So I just threw that in there.
Cool.
So then we meet the woman that's staying here with her son. Her name is Helen, played by Patricia Neal. Her boyfriend, Tom, played by Hugh Marlowe. And she introduced him to Mr. Carpenter. He's a new guy staying here. He's like, okay, yeah, whatever. Little tension there, and then Klaatu, or Mr. Carpenter, I should say, decides he's going to help take Helen's son out because she needs somebody to babysit while she goes out with Tom and has a good time. Wonderful mother. And she allows him to take him around DC.
It's a
Hey, I want
different
to go see
time.
the space saucer. Sure, kid. We'll go after that after we see a few things here I want to see.
That was a different time, when you could leave your adolescent son with a total stranger and not have to worry about him at all.
Right. Here you are, little Timmy. Here's this grown man who wants to take you out and look at a flying saucer.
It's Bobby. His name's Bobby. Sorry. Played by Billy Gray.
Yeah,
So he's like the Leave It to Beaver of this show.
That happened.
Gee, Mr. Carpenter, do you know, like, what do you think about aliens? So he takes him to the Lincoln Memorial, and that kind of changes Klaatu's view of who we are, because there are some good people on this planet, some great people,
Great people
not just the people that are in charge today.
On both sides.
So this actually kind of saves the planet, I think. He goes to a couple of these shrines that show, heroic men who did brave things for good. And Klaatu's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll give this a second thought before we completely eliminate and destroy this planet. Then he finally takes the kid to see the saucer. And the colorizations, for some reason, turn Bobby pink in that slide. I'm not sure why. So now, Carpenter decides to go to the head scientist in DC, his house. And of course, it's locked. And he looks in a window and he sees something written on the chalkboard there that the professor's been working on for a few months, an equation. He's like, oh, I can fix that right away. And he manages to find that door open. And he goes in and he changes a couple of things around on the chalkboard. And of course, the housekeeper or what have you comes in and she's aghast. Oh my God, he's been working on that for months and you ruined it. No, let him take a look at it.
And why would the housekeeper know? Like, what does she know about mathematical equations?
Well, all she sees is a stranger, wiping away the doctor's work. That's all she cares about, And she chastises him for it. And he leaves his name and his where he's staying. And he goes, after the doctor looks at it, have him contact me. Which she agrees to do. However, there's a little take here at the end of the scene, which I think is probably something the director threw in, a kind of last minute kind of thing. She goes to the board and it looks like she's going to erase what he did. And she turns around and he's at the door there and he's like, and by the way, don't erase what I did. I'm going now. And she's like, oh, end of scene. So, and the professor who lives in this house, is played by Al Jaffe, who was big at the time for the Dr. Ben Casey show. A fine actor. He sends somebody to go pick up Mr. Carpenter because obviously Carpenter has solved his equation in just a matter of minutes, if not seconds. And again, he's been working on it for months. So Bobby answers the door. The government man goes, hey, we're looking for Mr. Carpenter. He left his card. Oh, gee, yeah, he was, okay, we'll get him. I think this kid is still alive today. He's probably the only one still alive from this picture. Of course, Patricia Neal went on to marry author Roald Dahl, who wrote adult and children's stories. That's how she lived out her life. And in this movie, she's a great leading lady.
And she was famous in the Truman Capote book, Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Really?
She was the lead character, one of the lead women, who had been, basically was the sugar mama for George Papard before he met, whatever her name was, who everyone loves.
Audrey Hepburn?
Yes. Hepburn. So Patricia Neal was the rich socialite New Yorker. And she cast.
That's right, yeah.
Fairly soon
Sorry,
after.
every time I think about that film, I think about Mickey Rooney as the terrible, as the Japanese name for. Yikes! What a shame! Such a great movie is tarnished by such a wrong decision.
I don't know. I hear the Trump campaign is playing it on a loop.
Oh, there you go. So, yeah, Mr. Carpenter is taken out just as Helen is coming back after a wonderful evening with Tom. She looks very satisfied. Tom looks very satisfied. And there they are. He's got to go see the professor. We went by his house today. And they take him away. And as the kid tells the mom more and more about Mr. Carpenter and the day that they had, she's like, well, wait a minute. This is kind of strange. And there he is, Sam Jaffe, I'm sorry. And he's like, this is amazing. How did you do this? And he explains, hey, I'm Klaatu. I'm an alien from another place in the galaxy. And yeah, that's easy stuff for me. We learned that in grade school. And he's amazed. He believes him, completely buys into it. And he says, well, what can I do? And he goes, well, I'm having trouble getting your world leaders together. So I'm hoping maybe you can get some of the greatest minds in the world together so that I can give you guys a message. And he's like, well, what I do to tell them, to prove to them that it's you, that you're the guy from another planet? What can you do something that will show them? And he says, well, yeah, tell me a time and I'll make something happen at that time that will prove it. Easy enough. So he goes back to the house. And by the way, Aunt B from Mayberry, before she was in Mayberry, is also in this house. Frances Bavier is her name. She played Mrs. Barley. So again, the mother talks to Bobby about Mr. Carpenter, and she's starting to believe, hey, wait a minute, maybe this Mr. Carpenter is the alien. She's starting to get kind of a feeling that maybe he's the alien that everybody's looking for, but they don't have proof yet. What she doesn't realize is the alien gave her son like diamonds that are really, really precious. They're not from this earth, so they are very rare and worth a lot of money. And he says, hey, can I borrow your flashlight? Sure, Mr. Carpenter.
Well, I don't know. I'm a grown man giving a little boy diamonds. I think that's quite a day.
We're not gonna go further than that. But the kid does follow him that night when he goes out with his flashlight. Yeah, I want to know what he's gonna do with my flashlight. And amazingly, he goes to the spaceship. Yeah, and he starts signaling to Gort on the wall in front of Gort with the flashlight. Does a little alien Morse code there. And it wakes Gort up. And Gort goes and clobbers the two guards that are outside the front of the spaceship. Ironically, just two guards. And it can't be too late because, Bobby was still up. So it must be like 11 o'clock, You would think they would have more guards on the giant gold robot that zapped all the stuff. But again, he wasn't moving around, so they were like, he's not moving. So the ship opens up. Klaatu is able to go in. The kid sees it. It's like, okay, that's it. He's the alien. He's the guy. He sends a little message back to home. Hey, here's what I need you to do at high noon tomorrow, or whatever the time was. I can't remember what the time was.
Yeah, it's noon.
And the kid goes home. And when his mom comes in, again, out with Steve. Tom Stevens is his name. Out with Tom again. What a hoe.
Exactly. Brought you diamonds.
And then, Tom goes up. Here's a guy that's not even like in the running for this kid's father. And he goes up in the kid's room and starts tearing the place up looking for something. And he finds the diamonds. He takes them down and shows them to Helen. And the kid's like, yeah, those are the diamonds Mr. Carpenter gave me when we went to the photo shoot at the Arlington Cemetery. Sorry. I shouldn't have gone there. I did.
Photo shoot.
A woman tried to stop us, but we just kind of pushed her out of the way. So he goes, I'm going to have somebody check these and tomorrow. And then tomorrow at high noon, Mr. Carpenter goes and sees Helen at work and says, Here, let's get in this elevator together. And everything shuts down at high noon. I mean, everything. All the cars stop. All the police motorcycles stop. Everything just shuts down. Like he says, clocks, everything shuts down, stops dead in its tracks, right then and there. So nothing moves. Even in Paris,
Even the Arc de Triomphe didn't move.
it didn't move.
It
There's
was.
stuff going around it, all stops. The Louvre doesn't move. And this again, as you said, we're in the middle of Cold War, so they wanted to show the effects in Russia as well. So there they are going, hey, nothing's moving. Is this the Americans?
Or it's just another day in Russia. Nothing sells. Nothing.
Nothing's moving. And this poor guy out on the lake fishing. Damn, the wife's going to kill me. I can't get this engine started. And Smokey and the Bandit, I think the sheriff tried to jump this bridge.
I think so. Yeah.
Sheriff
Or the-
Buford T. Justice. I'm going to get that bandit, damn it.
Either that or the Duke boys.
That was 30, 40 years later. I'm sorry. The bullet train stopped dead in its tracks. That's the bullet train. I can't even make a phone call. Damn it. So yeah, the government is perplexed. So now at the shop where Tom is checking into the diamonds, the guy is like, "Oh, this is very rare. I've never seen anything like it. Oh, I want to check this a little more." And then every 15 minutes later, I guess, everything comes back on. And, they're smoking a cigarette. I know, it always goes down to the gutter. Can you play any harmonica tunes?
You know, there
What do
should
you do
have
when you're stuck in an elevator?
there should have been a love scene between Klaatu and her. But I think because of the time it was in, she's already dating a guy, so she doesn't have eyes for him. But he was dashing and had swagger, unlike that chump that was her.
Unlike Hugh Marlowe,
Yeah, Hugh Barlow, right.
that leading man wannabe.
Yeah.
Okay, so step up the hunt for the spaceman. Hey, we don't want him stopping the planet again. Find him, you kill him. Washington quarantined, which is, sad for Seattle because he wasn't even there. No, kidding. They should have said DC. I'm sorry. Splitting hairs. So anyway, she tells him, hey, Mr. Carpenter's the alien. And he's like, hey, did you know how much a guy offered me for that one of those diamonds? He goes, I'm calling the government, man. We're going to shake this guy down for more of those diamonds. Yeah, he turns out to be a real turd.
Mm-hmm.
So he's called it in to the government. The government starts sending stuff over towards her neighborhood. She gets into a taxi, rushing to her house to warn Klaatu, Mr. Carpenter. There's a pink taxi, a pink military Jeep. Yeah, again, the colorization program sometimes gets a little wonky. So she pulls up just in time, and Klaatu gets into the back of the taxi with her. And they drive off just before the military shows up. She explains she knows who he is. He goes, okay, I'm Klaatu. Okay, if anything happens, I need you to tell Gort this. Klaatu Barada Nikto. And he makes her repeat it. And they are watching him go by, these people from the military that are staked out in all the corners. So they know it's him. And they're like, she's just past this point. One of those. And he realizes they've got roadblocks and stuff set up. So he jumps out of the car and runs. He doesn't want anything to happen to her. And they shoot him because that's us.
Yeah.
No warning shots, nothing. Just, plug them.
Plug him in the back. Damn it.
Yep. Right here in this crowded neighborhood.
Just shoot him in the back. Don't let him get away. We gotta study this guy. So, I mean, and they already got a full medical chart on the guy. So, yeah, he said, don't forget, Klaatu, Barada, Nikto. Because if you forget, that's it. I'm done here and now in this scene. This is my last scene. So they have explained to the smart guys from all around the world that are coming here that Gort has been encased in I guess some kind of plastic. And Gort starts to zap at it because he's already gotten the signal that Klaatu has been shot, I guess, somehow. So he is melting this plastic that is around him, that has been coating around him to keep him in place.
Well, this was a big deal because this Lucite stuff, that was like brand new. It just come out. That's why it made such a big deal about it. Like, oh, it's new scientific discovery.
Ooh, they've encased him in Lucite.
Yeah.
They've encased him in carbonite. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and think about it. We'd never seen a substance like that before. So he was encased in a perfect footlocker shaped, absolutely translucent. We don't know what it's made out of.
Cube.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the thing that I always wondered, though, you know, so they shoot the military, or they shoot Klaatu. He's there. The woman's there. Why didn't they arrest her, like, right on the spot? Why didn't they figure out? Or did they think it's some random woman?
Well, she was wearing pearls and high heels.
There you go.
Well, yeah.
Amongst all the confusion, she clattered away on those high heels.
Yeah, she just
with her pearls. You could hear
with
her
pearls. Yeah.
It'd have been a very short movie. All right, you're coming with us. We're putting you in solitary. Then Gort would have destroyed the world. That would have been a different ending.
Gitmo and waterboarded her now.
And again, I remember as a kid wondering what the hell would have happened if Gort had just gone berserk and just, you know, he's probably got a jetpack that'll pop out the back and he'll probably just fly anywhere and just destroy everything. They remade this movie with, of all people, Keanu Reeves. And in that movie, yeah, they were talking about Gort was nanotechnology. Sorry. Mr. Lips and Mr. Tongue. Nanotechnology. So he's a bunch of little robots flying around, destroying everything. So they kind of, but that was not the kind of boy I envisioned Gort rampaging and destroying stuff anyway. So yeah, she clattered away, got away, and she goes to the place there, and he kills. He just zaps. He doesn't even knock their heads together. He just zaps these two poor schmoes. Somewhere I read that Guy Hamilton, not Guy Hamilton, is it Guy Hamilton? The guy from Lost in Space.
Oh, yeah. Guy Hamilton, the one who
plays the father. He is one of the guards in this movie.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't found him yet, but he's one of the guards in this movie. He's credited as being one of the guards in this movie. So she goes up to Gort. He's about to zap her. His visor goes up again. His light starts going. And by the way, Battlestar Galactica totally ripped him off.
I just say it reminds me of the Cylons. Yeah.
And I don't think anything was done about that. I don't think there was any lawsuit pending. Nothing.
I think it was a 20th Century Fox production, is why.
Okay, so they're like, yeah, leave it alone.
Yep.
Homage. It's homage. Okay.
They're not going to sue themselves.
Famous scene. She says, Gort Klaatu Barada Nikto. She gets it right. Unlike Ash
in Evil Dead, yeah.
in Army of Darkness, who totally forgets. So he picks her up and takes her into the ship. Why not? Bah, bah. Now I'm going to show you my goldenrod. Again, it always goes there with me. I'm sorry. So yeah, he sets her down on a little chair there, does a little movement, and then he leaves her there. Just stay here, bitch. I'll be right back. Oh, I want him. So yeah, he goes off to get Klaatu.
Yep, women and mechanical devices. What can we say?
It's homage.
It's so much. Well, look at that shiny head. I'm just saying.
What was the robot that did that? Oh, it was John Candy played a robot in
Heavy Metal.
Heavy Metal.
Yeah, it was a little, yeah.
Fully functional. My parents wouldn't understand. So he zaps the wall and pulls Klaatu out. Luckily, it doesn't go through the other wall and alert the police up front. Hey, is that a laser going through here? And he takes him back to the ship. And his coat is pink again. Must be the lighting. And I've seen people's ceilings like that with the circular. Anyway, just decorating.
The skylight there.
Now, a whole bunch more people are outside this spaceship now. Now, Gort just came in with Klaatu. So maybe this whole thing inside the ship took longer than we thought, bringing him back to life. But he does come back to life, and she seems very happy about that. And I know I've got bullet holes in my jacket, but here I am.
Look at her. Are you Jesus?
And I can walk on water too.
Space Jesus.
She comes out of the ship. She goes and joins the scientists. Sam Jaffe's there with the most brilliant minds of the world. And Klaatu comes out in his space outfit without the helmet this time, because he didn't want to look silly.
Look like a bug, because we know what happens to bugs in the military. They get squashed.
Yep.
So he explains to the people of the international news affiliates and the brains of all the finest minds, the scientists of the world, that they are the policemen of the universe, and our planet is considered to be dangerous because of all the war and again the progression of military war and action, and we're a threat. Once we become a threat to the galaxy, they're going to have to put us down. So he's warning us. You better watch your ass. Basically, in a nutshell. And
we're a threat because the Germans had invented the V2 rockets. We were delivering on new used rockets. So they thought, and they said, next thing you know, you guys will be able to enter, leave this planet. We were
talking about going into space at that time too. Space programs were just around the corner. So he says it very nicely. He doesn't make it sound like, fuck you, we're going to kill you. He says it nicely. And then he gets back into his gold ship with his gold robot, who is a police officer, and they take off.
And there was peace and tranquility from then on.
And obviously, we didn't listen.
Of course not.
At all. Which is the big irony of this picture. We did not listen at all.
So we're just waiting for Gort to come back.
So hell, man, that was like 70 years ago. And you'd think we would have learned our lesson by now.
Yeah, but nope.
All right, so you have been surprisingly reserved, Mr. Harrison. I've seen you talk about this.
He's lost power again, unfortunately.
No!
Oh, yeah, we lost him.
So yeah, we've gone through this timeline in 45 minutes when I thought it was going to take 2 hours. Okay. He really knows a lot about this film and what it stands for. So I'm hoping he'll be able to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no doubt that what we had achieved militarily at that time, who would have thunk? who would have thought that the cavemen, with their bashing the ground with their bones, would end up at that point, 1951.
Yeah.
And there he is. Good, he's back.
Power went out again.
And we would be at that point. And as Mr. Harrison also pointed out, we were coming into the Cold War, not trusting the Russians. So, Mr. Harrison, are your recap thoughts before your power goes out again?
Well, so this is a seminal movie. It's an important movie because, one, it was the first real science fiction movie. We'd had Buck Rogers in silent films. We'd had a bunch of clunky sci-fi movies, but this was the first big, proper Hollywood production with real everything, including Bernard Herrmann's incredible score, which is still the template for science fiction music. And they still play with theremins as an homage to him. A great director like Robert Wise did it in black and white on purpose so that people could relate to it. There was color coming. Marilyn Monroe movies would be in color. A lot of other movies would be in color, but he felt black and white would really capture the sort of grimness and gravitas of it. It was also very risky at the time because anything that shows or even considered the notion of peace while you're dealing with the friggin' Russians was un-American, just completely un-American. And so it was kind of a pacifist message. But that's why you had the external force of the Galactic Police saying, you guys can battle it out all you want, but you become a threat to the rest of us because your weapons are out of control. You cannot contain them. And think about it later in 1989 when director who gave us the director of The Abyss, who also gave us Titanic, who gave us
James Cameron.
James Cameron, yeah.
James Cameron did The Abyss, was basically the same movie, just underwater, hidden aliens, same threat, same everything. And it was masterful and radical because it was at the end of the Reagan era. And these things had to be done when you had a government that really was hell-bent on actually nuking the Russians. And it was going to happen. And everyone knew they were going to die. So it's interesting because the news media in the U.S., though we did have Walter Cronkite, so we did have something resembling much more like responsible journalism, still didn't put stuff in context and where people could really wrap their head around it. Maybe not until the Vietnam War. Then the news media realized they had to actually put it in context. So the Cold War was just, we're building this, they're building that, they say this, we're saying that. And people were freaked out. So it took Hollywood, as it often does with TV shows. They may be 5 years later, but people kind of wake up to what's really going on because it can express the truth of it. And this movie was the truth of it, that this stuff was out of control. Now, what a lot of us don't know, because we're certainly not taught this in school, but Harry Truman, the atom bomber, was building 460 nuclear weapons with 100% aim on dropping them on Moscow. And this is right after Hiroshima and Nagasaki. He signed an order for immediate production. And this was going to happen. And happily, it didn't, or we'd all be dead. But we were that close. Full ramp up production. That was cool. We did it to the Japs. Now let's just completely get rid of the Russians. And they were being built. And it didn't happen. And it didn't happen because movies like this came out. This came out a little bit after, but people knew because people do know shit. And they make movies and they talk about it. Failsafe, the movie, came out and created a whole new failsafe program in the Air Force because we knew there wasn't one yet. So hooray for Hollywood in a lot of ways, for the knuckle-dragging, generally clumsy mediocrity that it may be seen. Somehow the Kardashians elevated to kings and queens, and you roll your eyes and say, this can't be real. There are, as we've seen on Netflix, as we've seen on AMC, as we've seen on HBO and other places, well-written, razor sharp analyses of what's going on that we can relate to, that actually answer many of the questions we don't see on our news. So Robert Wise, Giant Balls, put out a movie like this, and it was not necessarily well received. They thought he was a crypto commie, right? Just like Gene Roddenberry, they thought he was a crypto commie. Star Trek tanked when it first came out. It was like, are you fucking kidding? You're going to put a commie on the same bridge with a black woman as an officer? Are you crazy? What happened during Star Trek to Nichelle Nichols is...
Who's steering that ship? Is that a Jap? Yeah. You know, the Russian didn't come until, what, the second season, right?
Yeah.
Chekhov?
They added him because he looked like Davy Jones
Yep.
from the Monkees.
He did, didn't he? Kind of. Davy Jones looks way better, admittedly.
But you're right. Yeah. I mean, when they took one look at Spock,
Well,
you got to be kidding us.
hello?
Well, when they
He
started,
looked like Satan.
when all the promo material came out first, they airbrushed his ears. They rounded off his ears because they were like, oh, I can't have some guy with pointed ears. People think he's the devil.
Well, more than a guy, he was Hebrew. He was Hebraic. This whole thing
Exactly.
is... So here you
Yeah.
have a pointed ears,
Yeah.
which is exactly what the Fuhrer said, that they eat babies, boil babies, and they have pointed ears. And that's not what Roddenberry was thinking. But, it falls into the trope and you get screwed.
But yeah, you get somebody like J.D. Vance involved, and he spreads the rumor, and before you know it,
Yeah, and you got to cover your couch. When
it's
he
all over Desilu Productions.
throw a tarp over your couch and a few cinder blocks.
And I will never forgive you for putting the Kardashians' name in this episode. Anyway, we love having you as a guest, but not the Kardashians, please. Not for any reason. So, one of the things that impressed you about this film, you've told me before, was Gort. Just the sheer simplicity. Uh-oh. Are we losing you? No, there you are.
I'm back.
Okay, you're back.
I-
The sheer simplicity and power of Gort. Gort from work. He went off to get a sandwich. He'll be back.
Yeah.
He went off to put some more tape on the window.
It's too late. Yeah, the simplicity and power of Gort. So still, they're the two greatest robots ever made. Well, three. Robbie the Robot would be the one after Gort. And then the one from Lost in Space, Robot B12, I think, or B2, whichever it was. And Gort. But Gort is absolutely, hands down, still the single greatest robot ever built. It is just sleek, seamless metal from top to bottom. And the only thing it does is a visor flips up and out comes a laser that can melt entire tanks. And then you add the music behind it. And this is where Bernard Herrmann had been interviewed later when he did his very last score in 3 weeks and then died of a heart attack because it was directed by Scorsese, Taxi Driver.
Right.
And Scorsese was like, God damn it, we're on deadline. You got to finish the score. And so Herrmann stayed up all night for weeks in London. And he was not 20 years old anymore. He was, in the last third of his life.
Yeah,
and
probably in his 60s.
it killed him. But he was interviewed before his death, and he was asked about movie music and what was the point. And of course, he became famous for the Hitchcock movies. That's where we all learned about Bernard Herrmann, from Marnie, from Psycho, most famously. I mean, that really put him on the map. And he said,
I think I've told this story before, but Hitchcock hated the film Psycho when it was first put together. And he said he was going to turn it into a 1-hour episode of his TV show. And Bernard Herrmann said, let me take a look at it. And he did that. It was all strings. There was no brass or anything in the score. He always liked to do experiment with stuff like that. And he put the score to that thing, and it made it pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually Bernard Herrmann that made that film a success.
And also, Herman was famous for, here's your budget of $20,000 for the score. And Herman would say, great, I need 450 pieces. I need this, I need that. And then, you know, almost half the budget ended up being the music score. And then just 20th Century Fox or Universal would go out of their mind because they were way over budget for the music. But
Yeah.
made
But it was worth every dime.
if you take the music away from Jaws, you have a interesting movie. If you take the music out of The Day the Earth Stood Still, it's okay. If you take the music out of Star Wars, it's kind of cool. Add it in, totally different vehicle. And this is one of those movies where the music makes the movie.
Yep.
Jason and the Argonauts, all brass score.
Yeah.
And again, just knocked it right out of the park.
Yeah.
So this movie, it means a lot to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
And again, the producer of the film, and I can't remember his name. We can look it up on IMDb, I guess. He was the one that took the real chance, and Robert Wise, you know. But again, the statement was made. We all saw it. Like you said, it changed things. It changed how the public, the regular guy, how they felt about the escalating military buildup on this planet. It made people realize, made people see.
That's right. Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to let you hunker down. So that's Drunken Bass. Thank you so much for being on the show, Mr. Harrison.
Yeah, we just got a tornado watch and everything is just starting to go crazy here.
Yeah.
So thank you guys
Probably
for
should set everything
being on.
down. Again, I'm not getting a lot of it, so I'm lucky. I'm real lucky. It's passing by, and we're not getting a lot of it, so that's good.
Hopefully you don't.
Texas, not sure if they're getting
No,
any
we're good.
just dry heat.
Oh, I wish it was dry heat.
All right, Major Hazard.
Yes, thank you. I learned a lot. We love having Mr. Harrison here. He's a big superstar. Everybody loves him. You can tune in tomorrow. You can hear him on KPFK, like always, at noon Eastern time. Right, Carrie?
Yes, or better, watch on Instagram.
There you go. Next week starts October. We got actually 6 films. We're going to be showing 6 films in October, 2 in one episode. And next week it's going to be Beetlejuice. So tune in for that. Real excited about that. Then after that, we're going to do The Children of Dracula, Son of Dracula and Daughter of Dracula in one episode. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And then some more surprises for Halloween month. So please tune in, especially here on YouTube. That's our place that we love to be on. And again, as you are going through life, keep an eye out for those big monsters.
This here's Master Sergeant Havoc. Thank you for watching this episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room. Now, why don't you go ahead and give us a like and subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell next time big old giant monster comes calling. See y'all later.